Well, this will certainly have effect. Senator Cynthia Lummis says after Trump becomes president within 100 days, they will pass the strategic Bitcoin bill, where they will set in motion to start buying Bitcoin and buy up to 5% of the supply and put it into a reserve for the United States. And the plan is to eventually use it to pay off the national deficit in about 20 years. Okay. And it could actually happen because in 20 years, whatever they accumulate could be worth trillions. But, you know, since we rack up so much debt every year, in 20 years, I can't even imagine what the U.S. deficit will be. It could be like 200 trillion. I don't know if Bitcoin's going to rise up fast enough to make up for it. But still, you know, I don't know what the price of Bitcoin is then. But if the U.S. sets a schedule to buy X number of Bitcoin every month, you know, if they set that in schedule, I mean, that's going to cause another, like, I don't know. To buy a 5% of supply and set on schedule every single month, that's a lot of buying pressure. That is going to be a lot. And that's definitely going to be, and that's on top of the ETF pressure and retail pressure and everyone else in between. That is going to be absolutely explosive. No doubt. No doubt about it. And that may kick off a war among countries. Just think about it. If the U.S. officially declares they're going to buy 5% of supply, do you think Putin and Xi, they're going to sit back in Russia and China and say, we're just going to let the U.S. buy up 5% of the supply of Bitcoin? You don't think they're going to then create some kind of agenda to also buy up 5% of the supply of Bitcoin? I mean, they're going to do something in response. They might say, well, if they're going to buy 5%, we're going to buy 10% of supply. And then imagine after hearing that, Trump is like, no, we're going to up ours to 10%, you know? And then imagine 3 countries in the world trying to buy up 10% of the supply each. And they're trying to, and then BlackRock is already trying to buy 10% of supply. So you have 4 entities on the planet that's trying to buy up 40% of the supply. Do you know how much buying pressure that is? That alone will drive Bitcoin into the millions if that was going to happen in the next year. That will drive Bitcoin into the millions if that did happen. If 4 entities try to buy 40% of the supply, it will not be an easy task. It will not. It's crazy to think about, but maybe one day that will actually happen. And it's not just the biggest countries. A lot of countries have started. Bhutan already has 1 billion in Bitcoin out of nowhere. It's because they started mining Bitcoin. El Salvador has 500 million of Bitcoin. Tesla has 1 billion in Bitcoin. Everyone seems to have 1 billion in Bitcoin. Not myself, but everyone else seems to. Everyone seems to have a slice. You just don't know these days. So there's just not enough to go around. Everyone except Germany. Yeah, that's right. They had a lot, but they sold it all off because of some law. But I mean, it's people just don't understand. There's just not enough to go around. That's why Bitcoin will go up infinitely, because there's more demand than supply. That's really all there is to it. There's way, way more demand than supply. Everything else is actually irrelevant. Everything else is a distraction. What it comes down to is demand is higher than supply. And Bitcoin has a set number, and that's really it. Unlike anything else out there, it's the scarcest asset that we have. That's really what it comes down to. And on top of that, the scarcest asset is on the most decentralized network that can't be shut down. And every government around the world knows that. And they have given up on trying to shut it down. There's nothing else out there that all governments around the world have now just accepted that they can't shut down. If you think about it for a second, there's nothing else like that. There's no product or service that can't be shut down by a government, right? Like even Google or Facebook or Microsoft, the biggest, or Nvidia, the biggest companies that we have around the world can be banned or blocked from a country, okay? Yet, they can't do that with Bitcoin. Think about it. It's the most valuable network on the planet. It's the only network that no country can block, and it has the scarcest asset on top of that network. The two combined are actually priceless. If you think about it, it is actually the most priceless asset and network we have on the planet. Now there's a 64% chance Bitcoin will hit 100K in 2024, which I still think is very, very low. After yesterday, people are still predicting there's only a 64% chance on Polymarket. I mean, I would take that bet. I mean, we're at 86,000. We're at 86,000. We're at 89,000 yesterday. I don't get how there's only a 64% chance. I don't know. Maybe I'm just very, maybe I'm just very bullish. But I would say it's more like a 90% chance at this point. Like I have like zero doubt. Seeing the level that we are at now, 100K is a certainty. In fact, I would probably bet 95% chance, not even 90%, 95% chance that we will hit 100K in 2024. So yeah, but I guess a lot more people are not so sure. I mean, look at it. Even back, a week ago, it was still under 25%. That was actually kind of crazy. Anyways, outside of Polymarket, we have ETFs going bonkers. 2.6 billion coming in from Europe, but overall, we know BlackRock and everyone else is going nuts. Yesterday, we had over 1.1 billion inflow. Most of that from Larry Fink. Once again, $756 million from BlackRock. And others were not bad. Fidelity at 135 million, Bitwise at 108 million, and even Grayscale joined in at 50 something million, right? This number will only increase as the bull market continues. And I can't wait for the day to come when these guys, these fund managers, reach out to Coinbase and say, hey, we need $1 billion, $2 billion, $5 billion worth of Bitcoin because we just sold that much. And Coinbase is like, sorry, guys, we don't have $5 billion. We only have $2 billion. What are they going to do then? Like, that day will come. I just don't know what's going to happen when they can't buy or source enough Bitcoin from the exchanges or from the miners. Then it's going to get really crazy because the price of Bitcoin and their shares are going to skyrocket to the moon. That day will come, I think, sometime in 2025 because there is not infinite amount of Bitcoin. There just isn't. Like banks can never run out of money. There's always a source. The Federal Reserve and the Treasury can always print more money. There will never be a scenario where they run out of money. They have said so themselves. There's never a scenario where the banks can run out of money. But there is a scenario where exchanges run out of Bitcoin because there's just nowhere else to get it from. That's the difference. That's why fiat will keep on inflating to zero because you could always print more. You can't mint more Bitcoin whenever you want to. That's the difference.